How's it going, folks? This is Ben with Swift English. So now we're going to be looking at TOEFL speaking. Specifically, I'm going to be introducing you guys to a two reason, two example approach here. All right, so in brief, when it comes to time, you have 15 seconds to prepare, 45 seconds to speak. So it is a really fast task. And to be honest, in my opinion, I think it's the most challenging and difficult question out of the rest of the TOEFL speaking questions and tasks you encounter. Some people might debate that should go to task 4, but everybody has a different opinion. But the reason I say this is because this is an independent task. So the information for your answer, it's coming from you. So you could fake it, or you could even mention real information. That's up to you, whatever's comfortable here. All right, so when you do come up with your ideas, when you want to set up your notes for a two reason, two example attack, what you're going to do is write your opinion, hopefully, ideally in one word. That would be great. It'll save a little bit more time so you can plan out your reasons and examples. But if you can't do that, it's okay. Sometimes you don't have a choice. You have to write that in 2 or 3 words or at least a short phrase. Don't forget to use reductions, abbreviations, symbols. They'll help you out a lot with the notes. So once you've written down your opinion, you're going to write your reason, again, hopefully in one word, like an adjective preferably. If you can't, then maybe a short phrase here. Then you want to do the same thing with your example. And once again, write down your second reason. Sometimes that one might be a little bit more challenging to come up with. In other questions, it might be a little bit easier. Who knows? And, add your second example right next to it. Okay, so once you've written down your notes on your scratch piece of paper or the computer paper that they give you, what you want to do is then apply your template to your response. So once the 15 seconds is over and that second beep turns on for your response, so during this 45-second window, you want to apply this template, okay? So well is an excellent word for introducing your opinion. So practice using this and then stating whatever your opinion is. And then right after, your second sentence is going to involve first off. So this is to introduce your first reason. And then you're going to have like to basically share a specific example, or you could use it to introduce some specific details here. Then you're going to have so to show the result of your reason. Now you're going to have plus to introduce your second reason here. And then right after that, you're going to mention your second example or some specific details that are connected to your second reason. And then finally, you'll have therefore if you want to show the result of the second reason. Or if you want to do something different, you could add a contrast marker instead using but to show some difference in the situation. And if you do have a few seconds left, you could add a little default conclusion at the end. Just say, so that's my view, and just conclude it. That's assuming you've done everything else. So this is just to pad extra words to your response. You don't have to do it, but it's just optional and it's not bad. Okay, so sample question 1. So let's take a look at it. This here is a good idea question. These are less common in task 1. So if you got one, great. If you didn't get one, don't be surprised. There might be like a 1 in 5 chance of getting this, like about a 20% chance here. So is it a good idea to change people's opinions about a particular issue? Now, sometimes they like to share some kind of example to develop your insight of the topic. Other times they don't do that. But if they did, make sure you don't miss that. Make sure you read the information in parentheses, brackets, whatever they use. So, you'll better understand the question here. And usually, most of the time, they'll have this default direction here. Use specific details and examples in your response. So they like to remind you of this because a lot of test takers don't do that, and it really hurts their scores when they don't have that. Okay, so with your note setup, here I have like, it's not a good idea, And then I said it's offensive. And then I have my example, father's political views. I just made it up. Be creative, guys. Sometimes you just have to. You might not know a real life example. And then I kind of mentioned the consequence of that. Like, okay, this is disrespectful toward his beliefs, or values. Then I came up with my second reason, doing this is kind of dangerous. It can end friendships or relationships. And then I use John as an example, like imaginary friend, could be a real friend. And then I mentioned like how I tried to make this individual become a vegetarian and this made them feel upset. So when you read off your notes, this will help you come up with this kind of response. So this is just a sample. Well, I definitely think it's not a good idea to change people's views about a specific issue. First off, it can be quite offensive to them. Like when I was 17 years old, I tried to change my father's political views. So he got really upset and didn't want to talk to me for about a month because I offended his political beliefs and values. Plus, this kind of action and behavior could cause a relationship to end. I mean, a few years ago, I tried to convince my friend John that he should become a vegetarian just like me. But he became really upset when I did that and didn't want to speak to me again. So that's my view. So again, guys, if you didn't have a conclusion at the end, that's fine. And even if the exam cuts you off, like you say, but then they move on to task 2, you're not going to lose any points here. You're fine. Okay, so next up here, we have a choice question. So if you don't get a good idea question, you could get a choice question. These are pretty common. Maybe like a 4 out of 10 chance of getting them. So if you were to take a history course, would you prefer an experienced professor who doesn't often encourage class discussion, or, so that's the second option, a new professor who encourages class discussion? And again, there's that, default phrase, use specific details and examples in your response. Okay, so keyword here is prefer. If you see words like, choose, want to, love, these are choice questions. They're paired choice. All right, so with my notes, what I did here was I wrote out the choice in a short way. New professor encourages class discussion. That's what I want. Why? I said I can learn more. And then I give my example here, I can ask other students and the teacher lots of questions. And this makes me an active learner, And then here, when it came to my second reason, I mentioned that this can really help me enhance my communication skills. And then I used Chinese history course just as an example. And I mentioned how we got to really participate and how this made me, feel a little bit more comfortable with my speaking abilities and stuff. So here, when you use this information for your response, you'll sound like this. Ideally. Well, I'd prefer a new professor who supports class discussions. So that was the opinion. Then you're going to mention the reason for it. First off, I can learn more information about the subject of history. And then you go into your example, right? That's this part here. I can ask my fellow professor and classmates plenty of questions about different things we'd be learning, like battles and wars, right? Specific example. Be as specific and detailed as possible. Now you want to instead of jumping to, reason 2, add one more sentence at least. So I'd be able to become an active learner and in the process learn a lot of valuable information from both my instructor as well as my classmates. Now, another tip, guys, when you are trying to read your response, trying to say your response, try your best to paraphrase information. So if you said professor maybe too many times, switch it up, say lecturer or instructor. If you said something like the word even a verb, not just nouns, next time say love or want to, mix it up. Try not to repeat the same vocab over and over and over again in the same response. They don't like it. So I'd be able to become an active learner. And so yeah, I already mentioned that. Now, plus this would help me improve my communication skills. So that's reason number 2. I mean, one time I had a Chinese history course and the classroom discussions pushed me to try and talk about areas of the subject I was uncomfortable with. Therefore, after a few classes, I felt more comfortable speaking to my schoolmates about the subject and understanding the lecture content much better. So that's my view. So instead of saying classmates again, here I mentioned schoolmates. So when you paraphrase nouns, verbs, adjectives, a little bit better for your response, guys. Okay. Now, I wanted to mention I have a variation here of that same paired choice question. So if they frame it as an if sentence, you could actually present that in the beginning of your response, and that's a nice complex sentence that can really boost your grammar score here. But if it slows you down, just do it the ordinary way, like, well, I definitely prefer to do da-da-da. Well, I definitely like to do da-da-da. But if you're brave and you're comfortable with it, why not go for it? Well, if I were to take a history class, I'd prefer a new professor who supports class discussions, you know. So it's up to you, but you got to work on your speed and, you know, your comfortable ability. Okay. All right. So let's see. Here's the third question. Young people are obsessed with electronic devices, but it would be better for them to use electronic devices as little as possible. Do you agree or disagree? Use specific details and examples in your response. So this time around, we have an agree or disagree question. This year, and I believe last year, these kinds of questions are becoming the most common lately for TOEFL Speaking Task 1. Sometimes they're the most second common after choice questions, but it seems in recent times these are becoming super common for whatever reason. Okay, so if you get one of these, obviously you're not writing a choice here, but you're gonna write agree or disagree. If you agree, instead of writing out the word A-G-R-E-E, just write an A. It's just faster and it gives you more time and energy to focus on the rest of your notes. Vice versa, if it's disagree, just use a D, you know, as your symbol. So here I said unhealthy. Cousin Mike just made it up, you know. And guys, for names, just use like actual people you know. They're not going to be harmed in your response, so relax. I don't know why some people are uncomfortable with this or embarrassed of doing that. No, you're not going to curse them or jinx them. It's totally fine. If you really don't want to do that, then just use some common English names like John, Mike, you know, Sarah, you know, Rebecca, whatever. Okay, so here I have a symbol for smartphone. I like to abbreviate a lot, and here I have like, you know, how it's gonna harm certain parts of our body, like our eyes, our head, right? Then here I have a second reason. So this is kind of like a more stronger reason too, addiction. So here I have like Sister Anna, you know, she loves vlogs on YouTube. Maybe she accesses them using her tablet or smartphone too, right? And then here I mentioned like the result of that. So if this person's super addicted to, you know, her tablet or laptop or whatever device it is, maybe she's not going to spend enough time with her friends. She's not going to hang out with them anymore. Or maybe she's going to fall behind her homework, right? Or struggle with it in one way or another. So then when I came up with my response, I have this. Well, I definitely agree that young individuals, notice how I paraphrase people or persons, you know, to individuals. So when you have this habit, it's great for your vocab score. Should use electronics, same thing. So they had electronic devices in the question. I switched to electronics. I could even say like electronic gadgets, you know, whatever you know, try your best to apply it if you can. If you really can't come up with anything, just use the same word or, you know, phrases in the question. Not the end of the world. First off, spending too much time on electronics is unhealthy for young people. So now I have to kind of prove my point. Like my cousin Mike spends way too much time playing games on a smartphone. Probably about 5 hours a day. Now, if you have these kinds of claims like way too much time, lots of time, you know, give a specific time. So the more specific, the more detailed you are, the better for your score, all right? So his eyes hurt quite frequently, and he also suffers from migraines. See, the eyes, head helped me come up with some quick sentences or ideas there. Plus, reason 2, wasting a lot of time on electronic gadgets. And I paraphrased again. So I did it twice, electronic devices. The first time around, I changed it to electronics. The second time around, I called it electronic gadgets. See, you could be creative sometimes. Can lead to a severe addiction. I mean, my younger sister Anna loves to watch vlogs on YouTube on her Samsung Galaxy tablet for 6 hours a day. Consequently, she doesn't hang out with her friends anymore, and she's also fallen behind on her homework assignments, which is pretty sad. So that's my view. And you're done. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. We went over task 1 speaking, specifically how to approach it, how to answer task 1 using 2 reasons and 2 examples here. And we also noticed that there are 3 types of task 1 questions, but you'll only receive one of them on the exam. So in terms of frequency, they are agree, disagree, choice, and good idea. So you're gonna get one of those question types in your next exam. So if you do like this clip, go ahead, like, share, and subscribe it, and I'll see you in the next one.